Well, the time is just gone 20 minutes past 5 as we continue. Before we wrap up and hand over to Maulana Yunus Kawanga, we'll take you through to the time of Iftar in Johannesburg. Today being the 28th of Ramadan, and we know we are getting very, very close to the day of Eid. And tomorrow, Muslims will be scanning the skies, inshallah, looking out for the moon, for the hilal, for the month of Shawwal, and which will signal the end of the month of Ramadan. We know the moon obviously will be born today. Looking at the times, the moon will be just around over 21 hours old. Tomorrow in Johannesburg, possibly around 22 hours in Cape Town. But again, there are a number of issues that one needs to take account, and we can't just take it for granted that the age of the moon is well over 20 hours. It's given, it's going to be seen. So there is a possibility it may be seen. There is a possibility it may not be seen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows where best. And this is the reason why we are talking with the principal of Darul Uloom Erasmia. We're speaking with Mufti Abdullah Dockrat from Madresah Ibaadur Rahmaan. Mufti Saab, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome and Jazakallah as always for your time. Wonderful to be connecting with you once again.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Same here.
Okay. Well, Mufti Saab, we've come now to that time of the month again, in the month of Ramadan, where a day tomorrow, inshallah, it will be the 29th of Ramadan, and we will have the opportunity to scan the skies, to look out for the moon. And already, we see a lot being said, a lot being written, and also I think just going through some of the scientific information available in terms of the moon, sunset, moon sets, all of that. People already starting to analyze. We see images starting to come out in terms of how, whether there is a chance, whether there is not a chance. Just your thoughts, Mufti Saab, as we look ahead tomorrow to scan the skies, and just looking at it purely from a career perspective as well.
Alhamdulillah, I think, these days with the amount of technology that's available to us, we have the visibility maps pointing to a chance that there might be a possibility of spotting the moon in the northern parts of southern Africa. And the southern Africa, we've discussed this previously, that the southern Africa referring to South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Malawi, Zambia. But in the southern parts of Africa, of southern Africa, there is a possibility of viewing the moon. Now, normally in South Africa, the highest altitude that the moon would be able to be seen at is 6.4 degrees, and that is in Messina, and that's also quite low. But the chances of seeing the moon maybe in a place like Lilongwe, where the altitude of the moon is around 7.9 degrees, is quite high. So there might be a possibility of seeing the moon there. But I think having this program before the moon sighting is better than having it after the moon sighting, because it makes it easier for a person to decide on, times. If you do it on the day, like tomorrow, if you do this program tomorrow evening, and then people are in a state of confusion whether they should have the Eid the next day or they should have the Eid the following day, etc. It's better to do it now, so people are more at ease tomorrow, and they can decide, in a comfortable. They have the whole day today, the whole day tomorrow to decide on what to do. So the possibility of seeing the moon in South Africa itself, especially with the cloud cover and the maps that are available to us, the visibility maps, is very unlikely. It is possible, but it is unlikely that the moon will be sighted in South Africa. However, in the southern parts of the further up in southern Africa, in Lilongwe, etc., these places, the possibility of seeing the moon does exist.
Yes, well, I suppose a lot depends on where in the southern tip of Africa you are as well, because it's like you mentioned, is with technology these days. There's just so much that one can actually read into, and in advance, I get some sort of an idea rather than things coming to a head or coming as a surprise on the night that whether the moon is sighted or the moon is not sighted. And people obviously eagerly awaiting that announcement to actually come through. But you have some sort of an idea, and it's actually amazing, just how accurate sometimes all this information can be, Maulana, so that, people, I think psychologically, mentally as well, you actually prepared for any eventuality, whether the moon is going to be sighted or not, or whether it's going to be Eid, or you're going to continue with the month of Ramadan.
Correct, yes. And so that's why it's always best to have this today rather than tomorrow. Like, and there might be sightings. There's a possibility that there might be some sightings, but maybe if some things are put in place today already, that we avoid false and inaccurate sightings. If we look at the maps that are available to us, we can maybe ask people that are going out to spot the moon, give them some guidelines, and maybe we can say to them that, look, the exact time that you see the moon, make a note of that. The direction where you saw the moon, make a note of that, and a reasonable estimate of the altitude of where the moon is. These are maybe some conditions that we can tell people about, so that tomorrow when people are looking for the moon or spotting the moon, they have this in front of them, that I need to make a note of the time, I need to make a note of the direction where I saw the moon, and a reasonable estimate of the altitude. And this is not very difficult today. People have cell phones. Someone could take a picture of where he saw the moon, even if the moon is not visible in that pic, but at least he's got an idea. So it's nice that you have the program today, so that people that are going out to look for the moon tomorrow, it is important that we look for the moon. Sometimes, based on the scientific information that's available to us, people just take it for granted and don't go out and look for the moon at all, because based on the visibility maps, they're saying that the chances of seeing the moon in South Africa is quite low, and so people don't actually look. And then you get one or two people that actually go out and look, and they actually see the moon, and it becomes a bit of a problem. So definitely tomorrow people should definitely go out and look for the moon, especially if the skies are clear. Look in the right directions they are. I think it's important that people, maybe it's something good to look at. On Twitter there's Hilal Watch Steady. It's got a lot of information there. Good. It's run by a reputable organization, Hilal Watch Steady, and a lot of information is available there, depending on where you are in the country, where you should look for the moon, at what altitude, what point in the sky, etc. So you're not just going out and just looking anywhere. Like, it gives you an idea of where to look in the sky, at what point to look at, where you are, etc. So maybe people should go onto the Hilal Watch ZA, and look at the information there. And so tomorrow they have a better idea of where to look and what to look for. This is something important.
Well, inshallah, in fact, yes, I've actually seen that on X as well. I've seen the Hilal Watch, and it's actually very, very informative and very, very interesting. And again, we know that people will be keeping their eyes out on what's happening in other parts around the world as well, particularly looking at Saudi Arabia in particular. Now, we know that we still are going to have that situation where there are people that actually just follow whatever is being done in Saudi Arabia. So they're going to be declaring Eid on Wednesday. They will obviously, or tomorrow even, we don't know how many have actually, because we know they started the day before us in the month of Ramadan as well. So we know that there are those that are going to be following what Saudi Arabia is going to be doing. So there is something, unfortunately, Mufti Saab, we're not going to get away from. And we know, because a lot of these are people from some of the other countries. But it's just something that, unfortunately, we can't have that unity all the time. And it's something we need to have to live with. And we must do whatever is best for us, inshallah. And and the correct thing. We just need to do the correct thing, inshallah.
Correct. May Allah Ta'ala make this short program a means of bringing us together and creating unity among us. It shouldn't be, we know that in our country there are two views. I think one is to follow local sightings, and the other is to follow the neighboring countries as well. I think, you can make a decision up today. And if you feel like you want to follow the neighboring countries, that's also a valid Shari'i view. You can take that view. If you feel you want to follow the local sightings, today you can make up your mind. So tomorrow, when the announcements are made, because you're going to probably, if there is a sighting in the neighboring country, then that it's, that the moon has been sighted in the neighboring countries. You've already made up your mind. You can say, okay, inshallah, the following day I'm having Eid. I would generally advise the people that, follow the people, in your town, in your locality, whatever the people are doing, follow that. Until the major organization in our country, which is UCSA, is happy to take from the neighboring countries, until then, rather just go with the view that, so that it creates mahabba and love in families, tomorrow you don't want families separated over a matter like this. UXA's view of taking local sightings also is a valid view. Maybe they should stick to that view, until UXA is comfortable taking from the neighboring countries, and then we see from there, inshallah. But obviously,
Well,
there are people
inshallah.
that are taking it from the neighboring countries. That's also a valid view. If people are of that view, they're welcome to follow that as well.
Well, inshallah, definitely, Mufti Saab. Jazakallah khairan so much for that. And like you mentioned, I'm also equally happy that we are having this discussion today rather than having this discussion tomorrow, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
But we thank
Excellent.
you. We say Jazakallah. Allah accept your efforts. Allah reward
Ameen.
your efforts as well, Mufti Saab. And please remember us in your du'as as well.
You
Assalamu
too.
alaikum.
You too. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Mufti Abdullah Dockrat, Principal of Darul Uloom Erasmia, Madresah Ibaadur Rahmaan, joining us this afternoon. And with that, we are heading towards closure. So I'm going to wrap up my particular segment of the Iftar Drive, and I'm going to hand you over to Maulana Yunus Kawanga to take you through to the time of Iftar. So from myself, for now, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.